There are many reasons why you suck at spider tanks, and some of them are not even your fault.
Perfect.
So we're going to address the issue of abilities today, their uses, and how to suck less with them since many matches are won or lost before the game even begins due to poor ability selection. To start out on your good side, I'm going to stroke your bulbous ego for a moment and reassure you that it is not your fault that you suck. It is all the game's fault. The game and your teammates, naturally. But since we can't do anything about the ratchet ass band of random misfits the matchmaking gods have cursed us with, let's cry about the game design for a second. I am stuck in this ability select screen for 30 seconds of my life. So please, tell me useful information such as, what does this gun do? How much energy does this cost? What are the best players using for this tank's loadout? After considering your tank's loadout, the game mode objective is the most important factor in which abilities to bring. Next, you want to consider which loadouts and abilities your team is taking, which loadouts the enemy is rocking, and which abilities they are most likely to select themselves. It's usually a good idea to keep the combined energy cost of all of your abilities around 10 so you can use them frequently enough. This usually means selecting a cheap and expensive ability or two mid-level abilities. The exception to this is if you're using a large tank body that generates energy faster than the smaller tanks. We will divide up the abilities by cost, but we can further classify them into control, strategic, and defensive abilities. Control abilities are used to control or zone enemies out of an area. They usually do damage, but good players will be able to avoid them, so you're using them to manipulate their position due to the threat of damage more often than relying on the actual damage itself. Game modes such as Chicken Chaser, Chicken Pusher, and King of the Hill greatly benefit from control abilities. Strategic abilities have situational use cases that enable playstyles that would otherwise be unviable. They are typically used to make up for some sort of weakness on your team, or by capitalizing on the weakness of the enemy team in a particular game mode. For example, the shield protector and artillery turret might not be the best abilities for your tank, but you notice all three enemies have linear weapons, which grant you a strategic advantage over that particular team. Often, these are best used on teams with voice comms and a predetermined strategy. Defensive abilities are simply to keep you alive by regenerating your health, avoiding or absorbing damage. Speed Booster is a 4-cost strategic ability that lasts 4 seconds and boosts the speed of your tank. It is probably the most popular ability due to how versatile it is and easy to use since it doesn't require targeting. You can chase down fleeing targets or objectives, dodge shots easier, and gain a more strategic position on the enemy. Decoy is a 4-cost strategic ability that makes a copy of your tank and sends it in a targeted direction. This can be useful to confuse enemies and make them waste abilities or draw out their fire while they're being flanked by your friendly tanks. The decoy doesn't shield you from damage though. Disguise is a 5-cost strategic ability and makes you appear as an enemy for 10 seconds to confuse or ambush the opposing team. Once you shoot, get shot, or pick up health, you will be exposed as a double agent. Cloaking is a 5-cost strategic ability that lasts for 15 seconds. When you attack, pick up life, or get hit, you will be revealed, but you will go back into stealth mode after a brief delay. Works much better if you're off screen when you go cloaked, so they hopefully don't expect it. Usually used by flamers and carvers to get in close like a predator, but I've also seen it used by snipers to great effect. Shield Protector is a 5-cost defensive ability that can help defend, control, or attack a point depending on the scenario. It summons a wall that blocks projectiles for 10 seconds or 7,000 damage. It also prevents enemy movements, which lead to some very buggy situations where you can trap players against a wall. It seems as the majority of the community is against using this ability because of two or 3 of them are being used at the same time, it becomes a mental battle fought in frustration. Repair Drone is a 5-cost defensive ability that slowly regenerates health over 5 seconds. If you are already at full health, you will start repairing a friendly tank if they are close enough. This is usually a good strategic ability if your team lacks a dedicated healer. Cannon turrets are a 6-cost control ability that lasts 18 seconds, shooting up to 12 shots of single-target linear damage. This can be helpful to control zones and make up for your team's lack of directional range damage. Turrets can also be healed by friendlies or be used as cover from incoming damage. Grenade is a 6-cost control ability that launches a grenade doing massive damage in a small area of effect. Great to control space, but it takes a bit of practice to anticipate the distance it will bounce to based on where it was thrown. Smoke Canister is a 6-cost strategic ability that creates a cloud of smoke where thrown that can seal both enemy and friendly positions who are inside of it. It also conceals bullets, so it might be easier to land shots from inside the cloud, but this makes it harder to dodge incoming shots as well. I can't really find a concrete reason to use this over another ability, so if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Stun Grenade is a 6-cost control ability similar to the grenade, but doing much less damage. It has the added effect of stunning enemies caught in the blast for a few seconds. Relay Drone is a 6-cost strategic ability that teleports your tank a short range. It can be used both offensively to cut enemies off or defensively to escape behind cover. It is also helpful to land on health packs to secure them before low health enemies do. Reactive Plating is a 6-cost defensive ability that absorbs a portion of received damage over 3 seconds and explodes in a small radius, dealing damage based upon how much was absorbed. It is most beneficial for high health tanks that can absorb more damage, but they also struggle to get into position before time runs out. Since a tank that holds the flag is so slow, it can be helpful in that specific game mode or when going 2 versus 1 while attacking in Chicken Pusher. Shield Drone is a 6-cost defensive ability that blocks all incoming damage for 3 seconds, while also disabling your tank from attacking or using abilities. It can be great to use while you're reloading or turning in chickens. Grapple Launcher is a 6-cost strategic ability that shoots out a hook and disables any enemy caught in it for 2 seconds as it reels them in slowly. Your weapon will also be disabled during this time and rely on your team to secure the kill while out of position. It can be useful for short-range tanks as a gap closer for fleeing enemies, but it is a very expensive option unless you also need to remove them from their position. Artillery Turret is a 7-cost control ability with a lifetime of 18 seconds. It deals 10 shots of AoE damage max and can be placed behind walls to protect them. Great when enemies only have short range or linear attacks as a strategic ability as well. Regen Zone is a 7-cost defensive ability that lasts for 6 seconds and can be thrown a short distance to heal all friendly tanks inside of it. It will heal approximately twice as much as the Repair Drone. If our team doesn't have a healer, it's a good idea for at least one player to swap out one of their Repair Drones to the Repair Zone for additional sustain. Machine Gun Turret is a 7-cost control ability that lasts for 18 seconds and fires 4 rapid-fire low-damage bullets up to 8 times. Repulsor Zone is a 7-cost strategic ability that lasts for 6 seconds and creates a large vortex that pushes enemies away from the central location. It is a very situational ability and doesn't see much use as it can result in making your own team miss their shots by pushing a tank to safety. Vortex Zone is a 7-cost strategic ability that lasts for 1.5 seconds and does the opposite of the Repulsor Zone by sucking enemies to the center. This is much more useful on specific teams for clumping enemies together for well-timed AoE wombo combos. Airstrike is an 8-cost control ability that calls in a line of 6 explosions doing large damage after a short delay. So when I load into a match, I check the weapons of my enemies because I only have a short time available to do this. I check out the game mode and imagine what the enemy will have to do in order to win with their weapons. Then I ask myself which abilities will complement my tank for this particular game mode, or prevent the other team from winning. Finally, I look for any weaknesses in my team to make any final adjustments. I really hope this guide on abilities helps you secure more victories. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, Mr. Laser.
Here it comes.
Here it comes.
You will be destroyed.
You're going
The
down.
explosion will be of extraordinary magnitude. Just hang on.
It takes a while.
Oh God, my back!